Hopefully this works this time. Keep an eye on the feed. So, hey guys, we're back. We do apologize. Hopefully this is working for you. Let me bring in the rest of the guys to make sure that it is in fact working. Let me go to Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hey again. How are you, Gareth?
Can somebody confirm that you can see and hear Steve? Say something, Steve.
Hey. How's everyone this evening?
There we go. Looks like it's working. Can you see anyone see him yet? Anything coming up for Steve? I think it's working. Well, let's introduce Alex.
Yeah,
Alex is
there.
here. Hey, Alex.
How do I sound now?
Sound good. Your mic is working now.
It is working.
Yeah, man.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and that other voice you hear in the background, of course, is Mr. Justin Villarreal. Hello, Justin. Evening,
everyone.
Evening. Yeah, for those of you that were watching us earlier and we disconnected and reconnected, we've got some gremlins in the works here. We've got a spanner in the works. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Things are not working. I had to uninstall Skype, download an older version, get everything working. But apparently, things are now functioning normally.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yes.
I just double checked. Yeah.
Luke Griffin says he can hear and see everyone. Thank you so much, Luke, for for letting us know, because for the last 20 minutes we've been going mental dealing with this
Gareth,
stuff. Well, when I say we, I mean me.
So here's a lesson learned. Don't install updates to Skype.
Oh God, yes. You know what? You're so right, Alex. This is something that we should all. Oh, gosh, everything. Come on, work for me.
It goes with every
this is
program.
something that we should totally learn from. Is this should be the caveat? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right? And unfortunately, when I fired up Skype this evening, I said, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's a brand new version available. Want to download it?" And me, like a big stupid dope, said, "Okay." I clicked OK, and the next thing you know, we're dealing with all this shenanigans, all this nonsense. But be that as it may, we've now fixed it, and we're back. Mindset Live is in fact live, and we're now ready, finally, to delve into some spooky and disturbing and ghostly paranormal evidence. I guess we could call it evidence. Some of you might disagree, but we're going to get into the ins and outs of it and tell it like it is. So let's go back to Justin's Justin's photograph of what was it called again? Something Grove.
Bachelor's Grove.
Bachelor's Grove. Yes.
And then everything gets messed up again.
Bachelor's Grove. All right. So let's do Bachelor's Grove. So I'm gonna show these pictures in reverse, Justin. So I'm gonna show the path.
Okay.
Then the clear picture, and then the picture with you know what.
That makes sense.
So first, let's go and take a look at the path that's leading up to Bachelor's Grove, and there it is in all its glory. It's a great picture, by the way. It looks like a very, very picturesque and beautiful spot in Chicago.
It's very nice. Yeah, it is actually. It's a nice suburb. It's beautiful out there. So in case you guys don't know, Bachelor's Grove is a little cemetery in Midlothian, Illinois, just part of the western suburbs of Chicago. And the history goes back to the early to late 1900s. It was originally founded for German canal workers and other immigrants who who had an accident, and they were the plot was placed aside for them. Later on, we had Prohibition, and a lot of the mob would dump their bodies here. So this particular spot has a lot of history going on from early to later, and of course, stories that span that whole time. I was here for the first time at 19 years old. I'm 37, so this is not my first time going here. But and I actually told that story, I think, on another episode. But also, we did talk a little bit about that, so check out last week's episode if you haven't already. So here we are. This is the entrance to it. You're coming right off the Midlothian Turnpike, right across the street from the entrance of the Rubio Woods Forest Preserve, which is what it's part of. So if you do visit, it's actually okay to visit. Just visit during daytime hours, and you would have no problems.
Wait. What do you mean only daytime hours?
Well, you don't want to be there after hours, sundown. The police can come, so
Oh.
you got to be careful.
I thought you were going to tell me some. No, once the darkness settles over the area, but the cops might bust your ass if you show up there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I thought it was going to be some spooky story, but okay. I'm sorry, Justin. Please continue.
Well, I mean, cops and it could be spooky too.
Spooky cops.
So you want to make sure you get there. You can all visit there. It's not hard to get there. You literally just find the path right across from the entrance of the forest preserve. So here we were walking up into this picture, and the little story that I had, in case you haven't heard it, when I first visited here when I was 19 years old, we were here for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the person with us wanted to leave, so we ended up walking this path back late at night, probably midnight, somewhere around there, good old witching hour. And me and the other guy that were there were like, we're not done. I mean, we're here, Famous Bachelor's Grove. We're not going to be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, So we decided to walk back along this path, and we start getting to the gate. And if you want to bring that up,
all right.
And
let me bring up the next photograph here.
Now, the picture here is of inside the cemetery. I'm speaking of being on the outside along this path, and walking up to it. The whole time we're hearing like it was like footsteps coming all around us, cracking twigs and whatnot. And we were kind of getting a little scary because it wasn't like that earlier. We literally there. I was not scared being there, and I had heard and read all the stories. So. We got closer to the gate, and of course there's a farther away take to that, and I just had this feeling, this just pressure, just overall this dread over me as we enter, and I'm like, just take a picture in front of us. And the first time I think the digital camera started becoming popular, and we take a picture, and a big old orb, the biggest orb I've ever seen, the only time that I can even say that there's some connection to the experience I had. We looked at each other, and it felt like the noises got louder, and we just jetted out of there like the scared little boys we were.
So the next picture we have here is the actual when you had that feeling, I need to snap a picture right now.
Yes.
This next picture we're going to show is that photograph. So
this is not the orb photo, but this is a particular photo taken with these lines of pictures here. So
okay, do you have the orb photo or no?
No, I don't. That's long gone right now.
Okay.
So this is still a weird picture. So all taken the same day.
This is a kind of a weird picture. Let's do a compare and contrast first, right? So this is the picture. This is before. This was the picture when you're walking up to the gate, right? Where everything's cool, but you hear some creepy footsteps and the like.
Yes.
And then this is the picture you take seconds later.
Correct.
Go ahead and describe what we're seeing here, Justin.
Now, you're seeing some kind of blurry white light that is coming from that area.
There's like two lines I'm seeing down the center of the photograph.
Yes, and of course the hue that's kind of around those lines that kind of take it over. I had taken more pictures this day. This was actually fairly recent, and you can see it's blurry complete. The other pictures.
Yeah.
Out of the whole thing, clear. Even pictures of me walking, this is the only one that comes out. And literally, this was taken probably seconds after the original one, which was a little farther away.
Here's the original, right?
Yeah.
So you're walking along, you pull out your camera, click, and then 3 seconds later, click.
And we got this haziness.
And it's very different. Let me just show the viewers one more time. This is a few seconds before. Look how clear everything is. You can still see, if you look at this tree right here. Look at this tree. See this tree right here with like a Y? So it's just very, very clear.
Yep.
And then like 2 seconds later, you take another photo, and you can see you're just a few steps closer, and you can still see the tree right here. There's the tree with the Y. See that? There's the tree. but you have also these two lines right here. You see these lines going down the screen, two distinct like light beams, and then a lot of mist right over here in this in this part right here. So what's going on here, Justin? What can you tell us?
Now, of course, this is a bit of an anomaly, but I have to be skeptical. And right away, this may not be what's going on, but right away we have to look at our surroundings here. Okay, we have a metal fence. All right. I obviously must have stepped forward when I took this picture because we're closer now. And there's a bit of the sun kind of coming down. You could see the shadows there, right?
Right.
There's a possibility, all right, I don't know why it happened in this picture, but there's a possibility that the fence and the lighting is creating that effect. There's a huge possibility of that. Otherwise, besides the pictures you saw, every other picture came out close. And of course, if you want to see any more pictures, you can follow me on Twitter, LCGH. I just posted some, I think, on Friday of this particular visit with a little video as well. And you can get a little bit more of the cemetery there. But this is the only one out of maybe 20 pictures that I've taken.
Nice marketing there, dude. By the way,
what kind of camera? What kind of camera is it, Justin?
It's my phone camera. It's straight up OnePlus 7.
Straight on the phone.
Yep, beautiful camera. Yeah.
Because
go ahead, Steve.
Looking at it several times, like I said, and blowing it up and everything else, and I hate to be a critic, but
yeah,
I'd almost, with complete positivity, say that this is probably lens flare from the sun.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, that would be the only logical explanation. Yes.
I would say the possibility of it being something, if there's something sort of associated with it at the time that this happened, maybe. But that's me. With my photography background, I would almost say that's like a lens flare.
Yep.
Well, Stutley Constable in the chat says something very similar. He says, just being devil's advocate, Justin was just a few steps further down the path. He could have been in direct sunlight shooting into the sun. And and to be honest, Justin,
yes,
it really does seem that way. I mean,
yes. If you notice the shadows of the tree, they're coming towards the photographer, which means the sun's behind the trees. Yeah. So the photo is being shot towards the sun. So that's probably what's causing it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I would agree. So like they do in Ghost Adventures, I'm going to have a big debunked plunk across the screen right now.
I would say any other group probably would get really excited about that, but I think that was the main point I wanted to bring up. Although again, I walked, I'm taking all sorts of shots, and that was the only one there. But the logical explanation right off the bat, like I mentioned earlier, would have been at least there's some light bouncing off the fence, maybe bouncing off the lens itself, and probably creating that. Otherwise, it's still it's a nice little mist picture.
What did you what did you think though, Justin, when you got home, you put the card in your computer, and you pulled up the image, and you were scrolling through, and you came across that image? What went through your mind when you first saw that?
I literally backtracked through all the photos, just double checking, and I was like, did I get something here? But again, the skeptic and the logic in me is already looking at what could have been, and it at the very least, maybe it's something spiritual. At the very most, though, it's an example to show how light can really create these effects that we see.
Yeah, I would agree. It is a very, very, very interesting photograph, though. But I think you're right. I think it's just some kind of reflection from the sun. But very good nonetheless. Let me just close that out. Now, next up, guys, we're going to do something a little experimentational. We're going to be looking at some EVPs. Now, I could go on and explain what EVPs are, but I'm thinking, why should I? I have all these ghost hunters on the show. Why should I explain this? Let's go to Steve, Mr. EVP himself,
And, thanks a lot, Gareth. Put me on the spot here. Thanks a lot.
Can you explain to the viewers and listeners what EVP actually is?
Electric voice phenomenon.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenon that has intrigued us for, God, a long time.
Like 100 years, right? It's been a while.
At least 100 years. We're talking about people who have recorded these unearthly voices and sounds and all sorts of things on reel-to-reel and 8-track and all sorts of wonderful mediums. And basically, they are audio oddities that only theory can sort of take a stab at. And are they voices from the dead? Are they from a different dimension? We just don't know. Mm-hmm. And basically what it is, it's stuff that's on, digital recordings or video camcorders, all sorts of things, even camera phones, in video mode, or capturing audio, and we don't hear it real time. Right. Until we go back and listen to the recorded session. Mm-hmm. And when you're going through the recorded session, it's as if there's like another sort of presence there that wasn't there when you were recording at the time.
Right. Now, I have a lot of EVPs that you guys have been kind enough to send over to me. Now, these EVPs, I'm assuming, are EVPs that you guys have recorded when you're out and about on your investigations. So I have like 8 or 9 recordings here that I want to play. Now, once again, because we had so many Skype issues earlier on, these may or may not play. So if we can ask everyone who's watching to close their eyes, cross their fingers and their toes, and say, please let it work, please let it work, please, and we'll see what happens. So what should I play first? I'm thinking I have one lined up here called Big Sky Guest House Main Floor. Would that be a good one to start with?
That's a really good one, Gareth. Do you want me to set it up?
Yes, please do.
Okay, we were. This is a part of an investigation of a horse farm. And it was the guest house of a big mansion on the property, and it was part of the Hiram Walker family, who it's a whiskey family from years and years ago. And this place was even visited by Al Capone.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
It's a very high-profile area. But we were in the guest house that was built in the 50s. And has had a lot of trauma in it over the years that it's been around. And there was a story of a painter who was in the main level of the guest house. It's a very small guest house, not very big. And he was on his ladder and he was painting the walls. And all of a sudden he was being choked by something that he couldn't see. He fell off the ladder. He obviously automatically got back up and ran out of that place. And we decided, okay, well, look at maybe I'll just throw a camcorder on this level while we're upstairs. There was absolutely nobody in the house except for us upstairs, and you can't really hear us in the recording upstairs, but you can hear something unfolding very slightly.
So this was the audio we're about to play was grabbed from a camcorder,
from an H4 Zoom H4 camcorder, or sorry, H4 digital recorder,
digital audio recorder.
Yeah.
All right, so let me pull this up here, and you should be able to see this right here. You should be able to see the app that I'm going to play it. Okay, let's hope this works. Here we go. Can everyone hear that? I'll play it again.
Yeah, I don't think I hear anything coming through.
How about the people watching? Can you hear this? Can you guys who are watching us right now, did you hear that okay or no? Okay, let me try something.
No, they can't hear it.
Okay. Cannot hear the EVP. All right, let's try this. No.
Ouch.
Yeah, this is not working then, guys. I do apologize. This is very kind of last minute kind of craziness. But we can keep discussing things and talking about all manner of the weird and the wonderful, I guess.
I still got those other pictures just in case.
All right, let's take a look. Let's pull up some of Justin's pictures here. Let me just let me apologize, guys. Everything seems to be going wrong on this week's episode. Since we started, there's been problem after problem after problem. But we'll get it all fixed. And we'll revisit the EVP evidence at a future date once we get these issues resolved. But in the meantime, we can still have a good discussion and talk about some unusual things. Now, Steve, you found that evidence, and what was your feeling when you first listened to it back? Was it something you immediately started to debunk, or was it something that really leapt out at you that this is real?
I always will scrutinize anything that comes to me, even if it's something that I capture. I'll go through everything, recreation, whatever. And with this particular one, there simply was no explanation whatsoever, other than there had to be somebody there at the time, and there wasn't. So, I mean, to be honest, I can't explain it.
Yeah. Let's discuss EVP generally in a very general way. I think all of us has had some kind of experience with EVP in the past. These voices that we hear, when you're making the recording, you hear nothing. It's only when you play it back do you get these voices and or sounds. And there's different classes, right? There's the Class A, Class B, Class C. Class A EVPs would be something completely clear and understandable instantly. You know exactly what's being said. It's very, very clear. It's as if you're listening to my voice right now. It's that kind of clarity. Now, while Class A are rare, they absolutely do happen. And then you have the ones where you can tell it's a human voice. And you can even tell if it's male, female, or a child. But you can't really understand what they're saying. And even though it's a genuine anomaly, in other words, you're hearing a human voice, male, female, or child, but you can't decipher what they're saying. And this is where it starts to get a little crazy, and I want to ask you guys about this, is that there's a thing called front loading, where if you hear a sound and you're like, I have no idea, it's a human, it's definitely a voice, sounds like a human voice, but I have no idea what they're saying. Someone else will say, oh yeah, it's saying I'm here. And then when you listen to it again, it's like, oh, they just said I'm here. But had that person not said that to you, you might not have made that conclusion. Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Have you guys run into that at all, Justin?
Yes, many conferences and even local meetups where people present certain things right away. They're already letting you, alluding to what you're going to hear instead of at least trying to make a blank slate to what you're going to hear.
Yeah.
And throughout, even in many websites, they'll list in some kind of a description of what you're going to hear as well, and that doesn't help anything at all. There should be a criteria at least to have maybe 10 to 30 seconds before and after each audio, just so you can have some sort of reference to that when you're going to play those things.
Sometimes also, though, it is it's almost impossible to decipher what they're saying.
Yes.
But the for me, the most fascinating part is that you can clearly tell man, woman, or child, right? And for me, that's amazing that you're actually picking up a human voice of some kind that's undecipherable. Have you run into any of that, Alex? Have you run into any EVPs that you've been unable to explain? Your mic is off, Alex.
The two I sent you are ones in particular. Let me give you a quick rundown of both of them. That way, for the next show, people have an idea what we're talking about. So the one that is, I believe, labeled Whippy Asylum. That one was, and I think I spoke about this in the past, it was an insane asylum that was abandoned for many years. And we had gone there a couple of times, a good dozen times, really. And only once did I capture an EVP at that place. And I've taken multiple recordings of that place. And the one time I caught it was when 4 of us went up there. We went into one of the main buildings. We split up in two groups of 2s. I went with my friend Jen. We walked one way, and the other 2 walked the opposite way. And when we came to a set of staircase, my friend Jen, who claimed she was a sensitive, basically stopped dead in her tracks without any provocation and just looked down the stairs and told me that there's something down there. So what I told her was, okay, let's just finish the floor, and then when we're done, we'll go downstairs to see if there's anything there. We went into the room immediately after the staircase, and it was a small room. I took out my recorder and I started recording, and in the recording you'll hear her mumbling, and you cannot make out what she's saying because there's a lot of echoing going on as well. But you can hear her mumbling, and at the same time you hear her talking, you hear a very low male whisper voice talking at the same time that she's talking. Now, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil by saying what it says or what I think it says, because if we're going to do this next show, obviously we'll play it then.
Yeah.
But that's what you need to look. You need to look at when you do play it.
Right,
when you hear her mumbling, just her voice as well. Now, the second one was at a friend's office building. We went there one night after hours because he made a claim that there was something funny going on around the washroom area, where also the kitchenette is close by. We went there. He's holding the recorder. I'm holding my EMF meter. He's the one who you hear on the recording saying, "Tell us your name." And at the same time, you'll hear my EMF meter beeping because it's going off the charts. And the beeping just stops. And as soon as it stops, you'll hear the response of whoever was there. And we all knew no one else said anything. So take it for what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a truly fascinating phenomena. It's a very real phenomena. And I don't have any answers as to what it could be, what's causing it. But it does appear that if you ask questions into thin air with a recorder, sooner or later you're going to get a response of some kind. Now, when I say sooner or later, it might happen immediately, or it might take months or years for you to get something. But it will happen. You will receive some kind of response. And when you think about it, from what we know about how reality functions and what science tells us, this should not be happening at all. But it is. Now they say, well, maybe it's a stray radio signal that's coming in and interfering, which is possible, I guess, but it's also highly unlikely that a radio signal will drift in and give you the answer to whatever you're asking. It's very, very strange phenomena. I have no answers as to what's causing it. The only thing I can say is that it is very real. and that people watching us right now, the guys watching. I don't know whether you've tried this in the past or if you have the inkling to try it in the future. And the only thing I should tell you is it's kind of a warning in a way, because be careful when you do this, because you might get an answer that you might not like, especially if you do this at home. If you're at home and you're comfortable home, and you pull out your recorder at 2 a.m. or whatever and start asking questions to the air, and you start getting responses, your home might not be so comfortable anymore. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
I see Justin just laughing.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing, Justin?
Because I think a lot of people, they stay away from that. Even me, I always wanted to try that Ouija boards, which is funny. I can play with runes and other things, but Ouija boards and doing EVPs has always been a no. No.
So I'm with you, Justin. It's the same way with me.
You don't do the Ouija board?
I would love to. My wife would kill me.
Yes, that's usually the other half.
Yeah. Well, you can always do it in secret. You know what we should do, guys? We should do. Yeah.
How does David get here?
We should do like
Ouija board.
a live Ouija board live stream.
Yeah. I would be down with it.
We'd have to work out the logistics of how to do it, though, right? But it's doable. We set a camera looking down over the board with the hands. And see what happens, right? And we film the responses, if any, and broadcast it live on live stream on YouTube.
Make sure it's at Alex's house, though.
Yeah. Well, if you think you've had technical issues now, wait until you try that.
Yeah. And Alex, just to be fair, if we do that from your house, we'd have divorce lawyers on call.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Just in case. But yeah, I think that would be, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that on the internet. I don't know how successful it would be to do it, but if we could pull off the logistics of how to get it all working and been able to broadcast it, it might be fun.
An aspect would be, since let's say we choose one of us to be the presenter, if Alex, I or Steve or even you or even someone in chat is asking questions specifically to whoever is presenting it, that would be at least something of a blind kind of test, because
that would be,
no one on us would know any of those answers really.
That's
even
true.
if I've known Steve and I don't know their personal lives totally, so that would be a good test on it.
Well, that would be a great test also if we had people watching the stream and they would ask specific questions, and then the board would give answers. I mean, if somebody watching, there's no way we could even guess as to what the answer would be. But that would be very interesting, to see if we would get responses that would make sense to people watching the stream.
We could even test intuitives that way as well. We can have them here and have a couple of people have some envelopes with something in them, and maybe people in the chat, and bam, imagine.
We're like, I have this envelope right here.
There you go.
And written on this envelope is what does it say?
How about we try remote viewing next time?
Remote viewing. Have you ever tried anything like that? Remote viewing?
Yeah, I've tried. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've tried and failed miserably.
No success.
I've never tried it. Let Justin, you're smiling away there.
Oh yeah, because I was trying to do it at the local gym.
Did you try it? What happened?
At the local gym.
Yeah, I tried to do it at the local gym.
Remote viewing.
Yeah, no.
Were they purple tights?
I want to see with them jock straps. No, I did it with a friend, and we just tried one-time experiment on it. I haven't done anything further in that, but I think we were trying to push for an hour, see if we got anything for an hour, and nothing came up. But from what I've seen and read, there's a lot of preparation and just two friends trying to do it. At least maybe some meditation.
How did you know what to do, though? How did you know the procedures and the protocols for doing remote viewing? Did you get a book or something, or you?
Oh yeah,
did you
of course.
Go training?
The one of the main books that I've taken it was Parapsychology to Controversial Science. That had things about remote viewing in there, and basically it was trying to figure out. You could do it even with an envelope, or you could do it with a specific area of wherever the object may be, and stuff like that. And we were trying to look where we put the envelope at in a certain area, and that's pretty much it. And you would have someone go to scout out these areas and see if anything correlates with the visions people saw.
What about you, Steve? I know you said that you'd done it also. Did you have any luck, any success?
Personally, no. I mean, we've worked with quite a few people who have remote viewed and have a little bit more success than I've had, but I haven't really had any success at all, really, in that realm.
Yeah, well, I say I've never had a success. I guess you'd have to try it first to find out whether or not you'd have success or not. But I know I have I've not tried it, but I have been fascinated by it. And I've read a few books about it. I've read one of Indigo Swan's books.
Ingo
Swan. He wrote I think it was called Penetration. It was called. No jokes.
Smiles on that one.
No jokes. Okay, that's what it was called. And even though it's a book about remote viewing, you do feel weird going to a bookstore and saying, "Do you have Penetration by Ingo Swan?" So yeah,
even the name sounds kind of funny, right?
It does. It's like
he apparently didn't he work with the U.S. government, if I remember correctly.
He did
with the remote viewing. Sort of program that they had going on back in the 70s.
Exactly. He was one of the principal people they brought on, one of the first remote viewers. This book, Penetration, despite the name, it's a really, really good book. And whether or not you believe Mr. Swan, that's up to you. I kind of do believe him. I don't think he's a BS artist, and I don't think he was an outright liar or a con man. Some of the things he says in that book is very controversial because it doesn't fit into current mainstream views of reality, which doesn't mean it's not true. It's just mean it doesn't fit the current narrative of what we're told how reality functions. But there's some incredible things there. Where he was working for the government, working for a guy called Mr. Axelrod. I guess that's a pseudonym. I don't know.
Sounds like a porno already.
It kind of does.
They should put him on the Uri Geller.
Well, you have Mr. Axelrod and Penetration. It's like, come on, please. What's going on here?
Is this connected to the Men Who Stare at Goats?
No, not necessarily. No, it's not.
Okay.
This was purely a remote viewing book where he was hired by this government agency to remote view certain coordinates. Excuse me. And he was just given he had no idea what he was even looking for. He was given the coordinates and told to, okay, here are the coordinates. Go ahead and remote view and tell us what you find. And it was some very unusual stuff. He was remote viewing. I'll tell you just a little bit, unless you want to go out and buy the books, viewers. He was remote viewing the moon. And unbeknownst to him, when he was remote viewing the moon, the things he was seeing there didn't correspond with mainstream science and the cultural worldview of how reality functions. He was viewing mining operations on the moon, cities on the moon, and people living on the moon. And when he remote viewed this, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. It didn't make any sense to him whatsoever. This was in the late 70s, early 80s. And things of that nature. He was remote viewing. They would give him coordinates, and he didn't know what he was going to remote view. And he'd remote view them, and then later on discover that he was looking at the moon or Mars or certain parts of Earth that that don't correspond with what we're told. It should be, right? What we're told that the moon is a desolate rock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we got a glimpse of that because Transformers: The Dark Side of the Moon told us that there was Decepticons.
Exactly. No, he didn't see any Decepticons.
So Ingo Swann apparently was one of the more successful individuals in the program, if I remember correctly, because I didn't read his book. I read somebody else's book, but they made mention of Ingo Swann being one of the more successful remote viewers that they had in the program.
Right. He was highly psychic.
I heard it was Lord Dane.
Well, I guess it depends on who you hear from, right?
I wouldn't believe Lord Dane anyways.
I think anyone with the name Lord is a little suspicious. I am Lord Dane. I remote view. Yeah.
So someone in the chat wants to know if Ingo Swann remote viewed Uranus.
There you go. I was waiting for that. We got Mr. Axelrod penetration and the remote view of Uranus. Let's bring this down to its lowest common denominator, shall we?
I think we're already there.
We might already be there, but whether or
Wonderful
not this stuff,
mindset chat.
whether or not this stuff is true, who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
The current reality narrative that's pumped into our head through the educational system and media, might not be accurate. Or it might not be entirely accurate, right? There's a lot more going on that we're completely unaware of. So when he's saying he's remote viewing the moon and he saw mining operations on the moon and people living on the moon and cities on the moon, for the average person hearing it for the first time, you're going to shake your head and roll your eyes and start laughing and think, what a mental case. But it doesn't mean that he's wrong. Do you see what I mean?
Of course.
You could have remote viewed a different time or a different reality.
That's true. That's possible. Or it could be now. Right? That stuff could absolutely be happening now. Right? Because there's no way of us knowing one way or another. I mean, are you guys familiar with the secret space program? Have you heard about this? Anybody?
No.
Bueller? Anybody?
Yep.
No?
No.
So the secret space program postulates that if we're going to move, I think we're going to move from ghosts to conspiracy and ufological matters here. I hope you're okay with that.
Sorry, Gareth. His name is Major Ed Dames. Sorry.
Ed Dames. Yeah. Okay. Not what do you call him, Lord?
Lord Dames.
Lord Dane.
Lord
Yes.
Dane.
I am Lord. Yeah, that's a good one. I wish I could be Lord. Lord Garth. Remember Lord Garth on Star Trek? Remember Garth? Garth of Izar? I don't know if you're Star Trek fans. Anyway. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. The secret space program. So, it's basically like a logic experiment. It goes like this. Let's imagine you've all heard of Roswell, right? And the alleged crash of an extraterrestrial spacecraft in 1947, and its cover up, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So let's assume that happened. So if that really happened, and this extreme high technology, right, was taken into the United States military to be studied, to be back engineered, right? Because they want to figure out how the hell does this thing work. But also to keep it completely secret, because you don't want the Russians knowing that you got this stuff back in the late 40s, early 50s, right? You want to keep it on the down. You want to keep it on the down low. So what they do is they get the best minds in the West to work on it, and then they have an unlimited budget, right? So they're just throwing money at this project and giving the best minds in the West to look at it and try and figure this shit out. How does this thing work? Now you got to figure over 50, 60, 70, coming up to 80 years, there's going to be breakthroughs. There's going to be times where they're going to figure out, they might not figure the whole thing out, but there's going to be breakthroughs. There's going to be things that they're going to work out and figure out how it's working. So the thought experiment is, if that happened and there were breakthroughs and an unlimited budget and the world's best minds working on it, sooner or later we'd get to the point where we would have this technology whether it's in a limited capacity or an extreme capacity, that we could actually use. And that's where the secret space program comes in and the breakaway civilization. Are you guys familiar with any of this?
A little bit. That sounds familiar.
I've never heard of it.
No.
How about the people on watching us? Are they into this? They want me to keep going, or are they yawning and saying, "Hey, talk about ghosts, you retard"? I mean, what do they think? Should we keep going, or are they?
Well, they're talking about some Edgar Fauci account was compounding.
Edgar Fauci. I don't even know who that is. Who's Edgar Fauci? The Dalai LARPer. Tell us more. Who's Edgar Fauci? Someone says, "Are you saying we have a TARDIS, Gareth? If so, I'm in." There you go. A TARDIS. Maybe so. You heard of it.
Time Lord traveling.
Okay, he has heard about this, and Stutley Constable says he heard about it on Art Bell. And Evil Earl says, "Heck yeah." So where do we go from here? The original TR3B. Yeah, the TR3B. That was recently in the news. A friend of mine sent me a news clipping about that. Ironically, from military.com, which is a website which, surprisingly enough, deals with all things to do with the military. Isn't that weird? And they released some footage of this TR3B, this triangle aircraft, which supposedly runs on anti-gravity and can move with ease through Earth's atmosphere and in space at incredible speeds. And they published this recently, maybe in the last couple of days. This is something that people have been aware of for a while. A lot of people have seen it. Who was it? Stutley Constable in the chat said he heard it on Art Bell. Art Bell had a very close encounter with one of these crafts back in the mid to late 90s. He spoke about it on the show, where him and his wife were driving through Nevada and they pulled over, and this thing just kind of coasted above their head. This ginormous triangle, completely silent, just glided over the top of their head. Some very, very amazing stuff. I don't know if we should really get into this as much as we could, because you guys should be involved and start talking about it. Any topics you guys would like to discuss other than the space age stuff?
How about trying the video that Steve sent? Maybe go there.
Oh yeah, we can try that. Now the sound might not work, but we have a problem there also. This show has been nothing but problems on top of problems. So you sent me the video, Steve, and I went to download it, and it said I need approval from Google Drive. So I sent you requesting for approval. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know whether I got approval for it to download it. So yeah, lots and lots of issues this evening, guys. It's very disconcerting, and I can see.
Go
ahead,
the
Justin.
Note of the spaceships, and we're not even spaceships, are military craft. I mean, it's totally possible that we gotten that technology from somewhere else, or we were doing the Manhattan Project and visited other worlds, and we bring it back. But it does seem weird that we have a jump in technology from seriously maybe about 70 years ago or so, if we can say that. Like, as soon as we split the atom, everything just kind of advanced fast after that, and whatever that may be.
Here's something else you guys might want to think about. I've thought about this too. This is like for propulsion for airplanes and space rockets and so on. Propulsion has not changed in 100 years, right? There's been no technological advancements in propulsions. We're still using the same jet technology from the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Nothing has changed. And you think of advances in computers and the like, and we're advancing like crazy every 18 months. Things speed up like nobody's business. But where propulsion's concerned, whether it be just aircraft or space travel, we haven't advanced at all in 100 years. To me, I don't know what do you guys think? I find that strange. In 100 years, there's been no technological advances, no new concepts of propulsion. It's the same shit.
There are some new concepts that NASA is working on. Forgot the names now, but I think it's a trickier thing when it comes to propulsion, just because of the laws of physics and everything that's involved, and the heat and everything else. Whereas computing technology is more, once you develop a certain level of technology, you can use that technology to develop even better technology, and it's like a domino effect. And it's not as limiting, for lack of a better term, rather than trying to move a huge craft away from Earth's gravity. You know what I mean? So there are some restrictions when it comes to physical aspects of reality as opposed to computing technologies, right?
Sure. That's a valid point. The thing that kind of hammers this home for me is I saw the trailer the other day of Top Gun 2. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Top Gun 2! This is going to be great. It's going to be so much fun." And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "When did the first 35 years ago Top Gun came out?"
Yes. Yeah.
And they're still flying the same fucking planes. It's like,
it's true.
like, come on, what is going on here? 40 years go by, and it's the same shit. Yeah. It's like either we've reached like a technological ceiling, where that's it. Like Alex said, there's the heat restrictions and the physics. We're done. There's never going to be any better propulsion. That's the ceiling. We're good. That's it. Either that's true, or there's something else going on the down low, behind the scenes, that we're not privy to. What do you guys think of that?
I think it's quite possible that they're working on something that we're not aware of. I mean, you got to remember, even the F-22 Raptor was developed in secret way before it was launched.
Yep.
I would say, I don't know if it's exactly a decade before it launched, but it began, I would say, a decade before it launched. And you look at it now, and you're like, okay, well, this is okay, maybe not today, but it's a great technological advance as far as aerospace is concerned. However, that was developed in the late 70s, early 80s. Yep. It was first conceived of, and that's what the government wanted when it wanted a plane that could go supersonic at super cruise without using afterburners and all of that stuff, right? So technology has advanced to some degree when it comes to that, but again, I think there's far more restrictions, unfortunately, when it comes to motion than it is with computing, and that's the underlying problem I think that they're facing with developing new propulsion systems, just because it's just such a tough thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, maybe I used the wrong analogy by using computers, because it is comparing apples to oranges in many ways. But yeah, you're right. The military is usually about 20 or 30 years ahead of the public, in regard to technology. But it just seems strange to me that, if they're 30 years ahead, 30 years ago, they were flying the same planes as they're flying now.
Yeah, but Val Kilmer's different.
Yeah, he's unfortunately he's very different.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of sad though? He was like one of the biggest stars in the world, and now he's just all jacked up.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I don't know how he's acting, but he is. But no, it does. It's kind of interesting that like you said, we still have some of the same jets and the same power. But we're working. What's the stealth bomber? What's that based off of?
It's still the same propulsion system, but I know that they're working on, like, for example, ion thrusters, and they are working on new technologies.
Anti-gravity?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily anti-gravity, but nevertheless, it's a new propulsion system. I don't know a whole ton about it, but anyway, they're looking into it. It's a more of a feasibility aspect. And whether they can make the drive efficient and strong enough to be able to propel what it needs to propel, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's as I started talking about. That's the basis of the secret space program and the breakaway civilization is this highly advanced technology that's slowly being drip into modern society. But there's essentially a separate human civilization on Earth. And off Earth, just regular people just like you and I who are exposed to and working with highly advanced technology that would blow your mind if you were privy to it. And I know that sounds, for the average person, that sounds nuts. It sounds insane. But from my perspective, now whether or not it's true, I have no idea. This is just all speculation and thought experiments. But I think it's possible that this is happening. Whether or not it is, I have no idea. But I think it's an absolute possibility that we are already on the moon, already on Mars, already who knows where, because of the last 80 to 90 years we've been developing high technology that the public is simply not privy to. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think it's totally possible. Yeah.
Steve, you're staring blankly into space.
This is beyond me, really. I don't really.
I don't talk about aliens in space now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. What about the ghost of an alien?
Now you're talking his language.
Open the rabbit hole,
the possibility of an alien being a ghost. Well, there you go. That's possible.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, if they're physical like us, I mean, it's totally possible that ghosts exist in alien worlds, and that's what we're experiencing sometimes. Maybe all the weird demons and whatnot are just ghosts of aliens that we experience. To be it.
It could be, man. We simply don't know. I mean, there's a lot of I think we touched on reincarnation on the show at one time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cases of reincarnation where people go back before their lifetime. And some people, and I admit this is very rare, but it does happen, where some people start relating life not on Earth, but on another planet, another place, another reality. Have you guys run across anything like that?
No, not totally. Usually just within our, recent history. That's all I've ever read or heard about.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Even the experience I had.
What experience did you have?
I went for a past life regression session.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, let's hear it, man.
We got time?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Have we got time? Don't you have to bail in like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah, I'll make it quick.
Okay.
Basically, there was a period of time when I was having sort of like recurring, not dreams necessarily, because I wasn't fully asleep. I was half in and half out. But I kept seeing myself being put into a guillotine and just having my head chopped off.
Whoa.
Oh,
so that's yeah. And it kept recurring. I don't know. Steve's laughing because he's probably seen it himself. But anyway.
Wait. So who do you think was pulling the string?
Well, exactly. He was the executioner. Right? But the time period where obviously guillotines are not around haven't been around for a while, but it felt like it was a very long time ago. So just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if I could go for a past life regression and see if anything would come up, basically. And it did. Now, whether that's just a flight of fancy on my part or not is something to be determined. But it brought me back to around, I'd say, somewhere around the 1600s in Europe. And, I was looking, when I got brought back, I was looking at my hands. I was in a forest. My hands were all covered in blood, and there was a bunch of people dead around me. And the person who was guiding me was basically asking, "What do you see?" And I kept, I told her what I saw. And long story short, I killed all these people, and that's the reason why I got beheaded, right? That's the long. Like, I don't want to get into too many details just yet. That's for another show. Maybe I'll get into more details when we have more time. But yeah, that's definitely the long short of it.
You're a part of the Italian mafia, right?
Yeah, well, I wasn't admitted.
Yeah, that's we have to delve into this further on another show, Steve, Alex. I had no idea you'd gone through. There's so many questions I want to ask you about this thing, about how you got involved in it, who recommended who, what doctor did you see, blah blah blah, and so on and so on and so on. but I know you got to bail in a minute, so I don't want to delve into it too hard and hold you up. This actually might be a good time to kind of wrap up the show. This show has been a comedy of errors this evening, folks. There's been so many things that have gone wrong. I guess when you're doing live streaming, sooner or later, you're going to have that day where the shit hits the fan and things break down and don't work right. And I guess today was that day for us. But having said that, we did persevere. We did come through, and we did chat for an hour on a whole manner of stuff. Some of you might have found these crazy stories interesting, fascinating, intriguing, or stupid. I don't know. That's your deal. But I do like exploring alternate thought and alternate ideas and different ways of looking at things. And the fact that you're here watching us, you probably do also. So let's go around to wrap this up with the guys, and we'll come back next week, hopefully with some equipment that'll work. I won't update any software, I promise. I swear, Scott's honor. I won't do anything stupid to mess things up, and we'll be able to play some EV Please and stuff next week. So let's start with Alex first, because I know that he's got to bail. Alex, what you got going on? What's coming up? What can we expect from you next time?
Oh, geez. Well, our show's done for the season, so you won't be seeing us for at least until September. Although we might do, I'm pretty sure, Steve, that we'll probably do a summer special. Just keep your eyes and ears peeled. I'm still trying to work on that stupid OBS to try to get it working properly, so I
feel your pain.
Oh man, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go through some tutorials, but yeah, that's what I'm working on. I'll try to get that ironed out so that at least when we come back in September for our new season of Nocturnal Frequency Radio, we can do the live stream as well as broadcast on New Visions.
Very good. Justin, what you got going on this week?
I got a show I'll be interviewing later on, and I should be releasing some new audio soon now that I got some things fixed on the old laptop.
Hey, you say that every week. Stop.
Yeah, it's happening now. It's finally happening. Old guys, Gareth kind of knows, but yeah, it's been a pain in the butt. So now that I got some of those kinks kicked out, I think I could finally actually record and edit and all the other stuff to finally upload and all that. So, yeah, keep up that. And as well as we have new shows on there, so I'll be updating more of that. So find everything at the AnomousRadioNetwork.net or the AnomousRadioNetwork.podbean.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. And last but not least, the man with the grotesquely bored stare in his eye when I started talking about space.
He spaces out.
The man, the myth, the legend, the creator and host of the Nocturnal Frequency Show, Steve Genier. What do you have going on this week?
Alex said it all.
There you go.
That's it. Come on. Where can people find you? Where can people seek you out on the internet?
Nocturnal Frequency Radio can be fine. Well, when we broadcast live, it's www.newvisionsradio.com, and we've got a new YouTube channel now that we will be uploading a lot of the classic shows over the past 12 seasons.
Awesome.
Just go to YouTube and type in Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Excellent. So thank everyone for coming on, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, do all that crazy stuff, because we'll be back next week with hopefully some EVPs that we can actually play and listen to and dissect and get into. It should be a really entertaining and spooky show next week. So from us all, please subscribe, and we will see you all again next week. Farewell, good brothers. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.